Welcome to Real Shame. It's a weekly show where we review movies from our movie list of shame or movie blind spots. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
So we're coming at you this week with two movies. I don't know what the genre would be or category would be. They're based off the same author.
Yeah, John Irving.
John Irving novels. But before we get into that, we always like to talk about what we've been watching. So, Andy, what have you been watching?
I watched some interesting stuff over this last week or so. I watched an anime that I've heard people talk about that is shocking and weird and supposedly influenced Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream, at least scenes from it, as well as Black Swan. In a way, I think it's been too long since I've seen either one of those movies, so I'm not quite sure what the influence is, although don't yell at me because I'm sure you can easily find it on the internet, but I didn't bother to.
Hello.
Well, the movie's called Perfect Blue. You ever heard of Perfect Blue?
I've heard of Perfect Blue. I have never seen Perfect Blue. I think we had that at Blockbuster.
It is, I had never heard of it until probably the last year or so.
Yeah.
And it came out on Shout Factory, released it on Blu-ray. I watched the Shout Factory Blu-ray. I liked it. It's very weird. It's very interesting.
Is it adult? Is it like very
Yeah, well, yeah, but it doesn't have anything like
It's not,
I'm trying to compare it to like
I'm
trying to compare it to Ninja Scroll. I mean, I think it has some kind of graphic stuff in it. Yeah, maybe. Okay. I don't know. It's hard for me to remember. I know it was just like a week ago, but I already forgot. I don't know. I guess I was just completely unfazed by it, as I am by most things. But I liked it. It's kind of David Lynchian. And I'm not a fan of David Lynch, but still, I thought this was actually kind of a good mindfuck kind of movie, I guess is the only way to describe it.
All right.
But I found it interesting. I wasn't like, some people were like, this is the greatest anime of all time and everything. Again, not quite that high on it, but I thought it was worth watching. I thought it was cool, kind of the way that they transition between certain scenes and the way that they do things. I liked it.
I'll have to check that out. It sounds intriguing to me.
Yeah. And then I watched so John Cassavetes was an actor as well as a director. I watched a movie that he acted in with Charlton Heston called
Face Off?
Was not called Face Off. It was called 2 Minute Warning, where a sniper basically sets up at a crowded championship football game, which has like thousands and thousands of people, and he's going to try and pick people off with his sniper rifle.
That sounds...
I thought it was good. It
sounds interesting, but it doesn't sound like it'd fill up a whole movie for a premise.
It's very interesting the way that they do it, I feel like, because it's more about the methodology of what they would actually have to go through, because they find out he's up there pretty early on. And before he can start shooting people, they have to scramble as to what to do, who to involve, like get the SWAT team, where does the SWAT team need to go, and stuff like that. So if you're interested in like kind of the methodology and the logistics of it, I feel like it's a very good, tense movie. If you don't care about any of that stuff, yeah, you're probably not going to like it.
Sounds cool.
I liked it.
When did they come out?
76, I think. Okay. Yeah. Mid-70s, Charlton Heston. Can't go wrong with that. He plays his like rough self as usual. And then I watched the movie that John Cassavetes directed. So full disclosure, I know Cassavetes is revered by a lot of critics. I've never seen any of his movies that he directed because I've always heard that a lot of them were improvised and a lot of them are really long. Like
I don't know much about John Cassavetes.
2 hours, 2.5 hours and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not sure I want to watch a movie where they're just improvising for 2.5 hours or whatever. But they're all, a lot of them are critically acclaimed. But I watched his first movie called Shadows from the late 1950s. I think it's one of two that are in black and white. I think all the rest are in color. And he didn't make that many. I made 5 or 6. I don't know. Shadows, I think supposedly is all improvised. And at the end of the movie, it says, I think, that it was improvised. But from what I read, they actually did rehearse a lot for this movie. It comes across as kind of improvised, and I think they had some freedom while they were filming, but they still had a pretty good idea of what they wanted to say and, you know, how they wanted to say it or whatever. It was okay. I feel like I need to watch the rest of his movies because this movie's very rough. Yeah. And I know he worked on it, and I want to say he shot it, and then he reshot a bunch because he wasn't happy with the finished product, and he kind of redid some of it and stuff like that. But I didn't love it. I thought it was interesting, I guess, from an experimental point of view. It's very cinema verite, filmed on the streets of New York City. And I don't know that they had permits and stuff, so they were just kind of fly by the seat of their pants kind of thing. But I feel like I need to watch some of his other later films that are more critically acclaimed than Shadows is. But that leads me to my next movie, another mid-70s movie, this time with Bo Svensson and Sybil Shepherd, called Special Delivery. And I mean, it's a fun movie, but I only mention it because the lady that's the star, basically, of Shadows has a very brief role in Special Delivery. And you know me, she didn't have a credit on IMDb, so I added one for her. You're welcome, Lelia Goldani. Yeah. Okay, moving on. I watched Bloodshot with Vin Diesel.
I haven't mustered up enough courage to watch this one.
Don't watch it. No, watch it at your own risk. But I didn't like it, honestly, much at all. I just thought it was kind of bland and generic, not very exciting.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've gathered from the trailer and whatever.
Yeah. But it led me down another kind of Vin Diesel, I wouldn't say rabbit hole, but...
Did you watch all 9 Fast and Furious movies?
I did not, but I watched all the XXX movies, all 3 XXX movies. Have you seen the XXX movies, or any of them?
I have seen all 3 XXX movies.
Really?
I did not see the second one in theaters, State of the Union, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, State of the Union. Well,
I didn't see that one in theaters, but I think I saw the first one and the last one in theaters.
And?
In 1990 X or whatever it was, the first XXX came out, or was it 2000s?
Early 2000s.
It was cool, and then I don't think after that it was cool anymore.
Well, I look at them.
I'm favorable for the first one.
I actually look at them as just kind of an offshoot of Fast and Furious. Yeah. I want to pretend that Xander Cage is Dominic Toretto's twin brother, who's more into extreme sports and skydiving and stuff. Although now in the Fast and Furious movies, I think they do all that stuff anyways, right?
Well, I was going to say, isn't John Cena his brother now?
Yeah, I think so. But I had a lot of fun with the XXX movies, honestly. Again, just like the Fast and Furious movie, the Fast and Furious movies grew on me. Because when I first saw Fast and Furious, I was like, this is so stupid. But I've seen them several times now, and they've grown on me. Yeah. And now... Again, they're not award winners, but I think they're fun. I thought XXX was hilarious, but fun. It's again got that early 2000s
it's got
new metal.
It's got Rammstein in it.
Yeah, I mean it's it's just
it's
crazy. Astia Argento, don't pronounce it Asia, is the female protagonist in that movie, along with Vin Diesel helping him out. I thought it was fun. I thought the State of the Union, not as good as the first one. Yeah. Ice Cube's not as charismatic or whatever. Still kind of dumb fun though. And then the third one, of course, Vin Diesel came back, and even Ice Cube makes an appearance in the third one. He comes in towards the end. Sorry, I spoiled it, but those are fun movies, I think. So that's what I've been watching.
Yeah, I remember being fun. I haven't seen them since, so I don't know how well it hold up for me, but
I mean, I feel like they're just like the Fast and Furious movies. They're just stupid fun, but I do think they're fun. I had a good time watching them. A much better time watching them than I did watching Bloodshot.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go into what I've been watching.
Yeah.
So just released on HBO Max, it would have been a month or so ago for you guys, is the new Seth Rogen movie, American Pickle. And this movie is okay. I could see not a lot of people liking it, and I don't begrudge them for that at all. Did you see it? Or
no, but I don't really like Seth Rogen.
But I thought it was okay. I mean, if you buy the premise, which is a guy gets pickle brined and lives for hundreds of years, that's the big thing you got to jump over.
I was gonna say, if you don't buy the premise, you're in trouble, right?
But I think there was more they could have done with the movie, and it seemed like they were trying to hold too many balls in the air at the same time. They're trying to use a juggling metaphor. I think that's to the movie's detriment. I think if they would have focused on one theme or one kind of this is what the movie's about, it would have been better. But so it's okay, not great, not terrible, just okay.
And you said it's not 2 hours long like every Seth Rogen, Judd Apatow
87
movie seems
minutes.
to be. I know it's not a Judd Apatow movie, but
it's 87 minutes.
That's shocking to me that they actually edited it down to something manageable. Okay.
And so with that, I wanted to watch another Green-based movie starring Seth Rogen, and I watched The Green Hornet, directed by Michel Gondry. Have you seen The Green Hornet? Yes. Boy, is this movie bad.
It's terrible.
It's not even an awful movie. It's not even a good terrible.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
It's bad. Yeah. It's not. There's the only redeeming thing about this movie is a little bit of the Kato vision that Michel Gondry had, where he'd look at someone and he'd see red, something would be colored in fully red of what he's gonna do with. It's I don't know how to describe that any better, but that's cool. And then like he does like a weird thing with the cars where he kind of like stacks them on top of each other, and that's really the only redeeming thing about it, about that movie. But it is not great.
Yeah.
It is really bad.
I remember when I saw that, I just hated it. And this is before I really started to dislike Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
I just hated the movie. I thought it was awful.
It's really bad. Then Kirby and I watched a movie that we've seen before, was Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
I really dig this movie a lot. I think this movie is really great. It's always great, pretty fun. The copy on the Blu-ray is not great, so I want a better restored copy. You can see it changed film grains and stuff, and I don't think the film they used as a master was very good.
I don't know if I've watched it on Blu-ray yet.
It's
like a couple of green screen. It'll be like great, normal, and then it just is like this one cutaway green screen is like, whoa, that's like looks like it was in Bleach Bypass or something.
Yeah, there's like some of the shots where they might have used special effects, but there's also some like other shots where they do pickups and stuff that just seem like not of the same stock or not colored the same way. It's really interesting.
So if you're listening out there, we need a 4K version of Last Action Hero.
It's a great movie. It's so fun, and that's another one I feel like people sleep on. Like not a lot of people talk about how good this movie is.
Yeah, I agree.
I love this movie. I just wish. I think you could make either a drinking game out of the amount of time the kid goes, "It's a movie."
Yeah.
And then I almost wish I could see like an R-rated version of this movie.
Yeah. And it has Charles Dance in it, who's awesome. Free Game of Thrones.
Yep.
He's very scary. And then the last thing I watched was all 2 seasons of the Harley Quinn animated series on HBO Max. And I was reticent to watch this because, the animated series, as everyone, if you've been a viewer of our show, knows it holds I hold it in very high esteem and very high regard. And the actress that played Harley Quinn, her voice is like the definitive version of the character for me. Mm-hmm. So hearing a new actress step into those shoes is kind of jarring and hard to overcome. But I gotta say, the series is a lot of fun. It is very adult, very violent, but I had a blast watching it. I think even Kirby watched a few episodes and was having fun at least with it.
They swear.
They swear. There's copious amounts of blood.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. And Lake Bell, Kaylee Cuoco, who we talked about in Virtuosity, is the voice actress for Harley Quinn.
What?
And
she's all grown up now?
She's all grown up now. And Lake Bell does Ivy, and I think Lake Bell's voice for Ivy is perfect. I
love Lake Bell.
I would not change that at all.
Yeah.
And then we have Alan Tudyk, who does a bunch of different character roles, and being a fan of Firefly, being a fan of Dollhouse, and being a fan of Knight's Tale and Dodgeball, I am a huge Alan Tudyk fan, and he's awesome in the first season of Doom Patrol. So anything he gets in, he pluses. He's awesome as King Candy in the Wreck-It Ralph series. He's awesome as the chicken in Moana, which those things you haven't seen. But he's awesome. He makes me happy.
I like him too.
All right, so that's what we've been seeing. Let's go into our movie review.
Alrighty then.
What are we talking about today, Andy?
A young orphan, Homer Wells, can't seem to find a home or parents that agree with him. So he's kept at a Maine orphanage. He grows to young manhood under the watchful eye and care of Dr. Wilbur Larch. And he's taught by the doctor how to deliver babies and perform abortions, though he is opposed to the latter, except under extreme circumstances. One day, a young couple, Wally and Candy, come to the orphanage, seeking an abortion. Homer sees a chance to go with them when they leave, so he can finally experience life outside of the orphanage and see what it's like in the Cider House Rules.
Are you doing the?
Oh no, Dr. Larch will be performing the procedure.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I'm not. I was just curious.
Excuse me. The woman you delivered last night, she's complaining of pain.
Oh, okay. I'll take a look. Couple minutes. Thank you.
All right, the Cider House Rules came out in 1999. It was adapted from a John Irving novel that was written in 1985, or it came out in 1985. It was adapted by John Irving himself. He adapted the screenplay to the screen, and it was directed by a Swedish man by the name of Lasse Hallstrom, who got his start directing a crapload of ABBA music videos.
Oh, did he really?
So why didn't they get him to direct Mamma Mia? What's going on
Well,
there? Hollywood?
Maybe I can tell you why.
but anyway, yeah, directed by Lasse Hallstrom, stars Tobey Maguire, stars Michael Caine, Charlize Theron, Paul Rudd, and Mr. Delroy Lindo. You had never seen Cider House Rules.
I've never seen.
You've never read the book.
Never read the book.
What did you think about the Cider House Rules?
I was really excited. I'm glad I saw Delroy Lindo in this. I like Delroy Lindo.
I do too. He's
as an
awesome.
actor. Oh boy, I am not hot on the Cider House Rules at all. And I'm curious where you fall on this, and I want to hear what you thought about Michael Caine's accent.
It's awful.
It's awful, yeah. So,
But he won an Oscar.
he
That
did,
makes no freaking
Well,
and he's in it for like 3 seconds.
he's not in it.
I mean, he's in it for the
3
first quarter and then the last
It has
5
to be
minutes.
one of the
Well, I
top
think
5
he gives a
shortest
good
appearances.
performance. It's just his accent it sounds like Michael Caine trying to do a New England accent very poorly.
Yeah.
So, but I think his acting is good. It's just you have to just pretend that he's being Michael Caine trying to imitate a New England guy.
Or pretending not to be like a manipulative, crazy person.
So
Yeah.
So for me, this movie feels like a prestige movie. And it felt like it's trying to be a prestige movie. It felt
What, as in The Prestige, the Nolan movie, or
No,
just
like,
Prestige?
prestige as like
Okay.
Oscar bait,
Okay.
as like
Okay.
these heralded high class
Serious.
drama, super serious and stuff like that. And it felt very so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this movie, we're gonna adapt this novel, it's gonna be great, we're gonna win lots of awards. And it felt it didn't feel earnest to me at all. And I feel like this kind of movie is a little bit on people that have dread in watching these prestige dramas. I feel like this is the kind of movie they see in their head. At the end of the day, I really didn't like this movie at all. I thought it was bland, not subtle at all. I thought it was cynical. Like it didn't feel earnest. It felt cynical. And I didn't care for any of the characters. I was rooting for Delroy Lindo, how do you say his name?
You were rooting for Delroy Lindo?
Until his character arc happened. Then I was like,
Oh, okay.
you ruined
Okay.
You were the one actor I was excited to see. You wrote. Well, you didn't wrote it, but you know what I mean. So I don't want to say I loathe this movie, but I really, really, really don't like this movie at all. I was not into it. So what'd you think? That being said, what'd you think about this Cider House Rules?
I like this movie. No, don't act like that. I don't see, like, I don't get the criticism, because you're not the only person that says that you feel like it's, I guess, manufactured or something like that. I feel like half of Spielberg stuff is like that, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie is quite that bad. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how earnest it is. I don't think that the story itself is maybe as moving as it could be or should be. But I don't get the criticism that it doesn't, or that it rings false.
Yeah.
Quite honestly,
It just doesn't.
Had you read the book?
no.
It just doesn't. I don't care for any of the characters, and it's hard. And we're gonna spoil this movie, by the way.
But I mean, even like
But it's hard.
the kids in the orphanage, the cute little kids in the orphanage.
I mean, I kind of like them, but it's hard that even Homer has been like lied to his whole life, like because the X-rays he shows is. I forgot the kid's name. I call him Wheezy.
Fuzzy.
Fuzzy's X-rays, right? So
Yeah.
Homer hasn't lived a full life because Wilbur wouldn't have let him do that because of all these reasons.
Right.
I was really waiting, and I actually went on IMDb to read the synopsis of the novel because I was willing to wager money that Homer was Wilbur's kid. Like the way he was so protective and latched onto him and wanted him to stay and grow and all that kind of stuff. Like I would have bet dollars of bullets or whatever that saying is that he was his kid. Like it was coded in the movie to me, and it wasn't. And I think it would have made it a more interesting movie because I just don't understand if Wilbur wanted Homer to take his spot when he eventually retires. I don't understand why, and I can understand even caring for the boy and not wanting him to go out of war and then kind of falsifying some medical records, which we've seen him do, and also his orphanages. You've noticed that Wilbur doesn't really care for the rules or for law because he gives abortions, which are illegal and stuff like that. So that's within his character to tell Homer, or not tell Homer, but give him some medical records to where he can't go off to the war. But I don't understand why he didn't send him to medical school. Like that he's not putting him in any danger or any stuff like that. And if he wants him to grow and be a great doctor, then put him into school, put him into medical school so he can grow and be that person.
But he wants him to stay there.
But I don't understand why. I don't understand why he never sent him off to be himself. Right? Like that doesn't make sense to me. From a character point of view, and that's separate from the movie and stuff like that. But that's just thinking about the movie in hindsight. That's like what I think about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I don't get it though. I don't understand why would he send him to medical school? Like he teaches him what he needs to know right there on the job. That's all he wants him to know is how to deliver.
But
like he's not like a surgeon or anything, right?
Well, I mean, kinda. I mean, he has to have surgical skills to do what
okay,
he does.
but he specializes in obstetrics.
Yes,
but we never get any. But why wouldn't he do it? Like I know it's hold on. Yeah, I know it's hard to prove a false thing, but as much as he would, the question is I never got any feeling why he would want to send him to medical school or why he wouldn't want him to send him to medical school, right? Medical school for Homer. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where he falls on that. Like you don't feel like he, like you never get a thing with him where he's like, everything I learned on hand, and school's just a waste of money. Or you never get so you never get this perspective or his preference on that thing. So I can understand him wanting to train Homer and teach him all these skills if he thought school was bad or worthless or a waste of time. But I never get that from him. All we get is him sniffing ether, which I think is cool.
He is a drug addict.
It's cool in the movie. It's not cool in real life.
Okay, so forget that, because obviously you guys don't like Michael Caine in the movie, or you feel like he's a terrible person. What about when he leaves the orphanage to go live at Paul Rudd's farm or whatever and pick apples and everything?
It's interesting to me, but the thing is about this is I don't know why the movie's called The Cider House Rules.
I don't quite know either.
Because the book might explain it a little bit better, and it wraps up into it, and you can kind of extrapolate that maybe Wilbur's against the rules, and then you have these people, these farmhands. I think farmhands is the appropriate term, but maybe not. That can't read the rules, and they don't necessarily follow the rules. So maybe this rules is a theme, or for that kind of stuff. Like maybe having these rules that aren't necessarily needed or aren't moral or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, the movie spends 3 seconds on the rules, and that's it.
Well, I got the feeling from that obviously I'm sure it plays a much bigger part or is explained much more in the novel and not so much in the movie. So if we're too stupid to figure out why it's called the Cider House Rules or what that really has to do with Tobey Maguire's struggle or whatever, leave it in the comments.
I mean, I like the change of scenery when we get to the farm and stuff like that. I think the whole movie is kind of bland looking. I read a review where someone said it was gorgeous, and I'm like, what movie did this guy watch? And maybe I watched a DVD copy, and maybe the colors were muted to me, but it looked very bland to me. And the thing is that I didn't care for the farm, the cider house, the portion of it, and in reading the synopsis of the novel online, they compressed a whole lot of stuff in there. And I think they left all the good things out of the movie. Like, have you read about the novel at all?
No.
So, basically, the affair that Tobey Maguire and Charlize Theron have, right? That doesn't take place over summer and all that kind of stuff. It happens over a longer period of time than I feel like the movie does, because the movie kind of gives it like a season or like between two seasons.
It lasts like a year or 2 years or whatever, right?
And basically, when Paul Rudd comes back from the war, he can't have children. So basically, she gets pregnant by Tobey Maguire's kid, and then they go to the orphanage to, I think, get rid of it or whatever, and the kid's name's Angel. But then that basically becomes Paul Rudd's kid, like they adopted and all that kind of stuff. There's so much stuff that kind of happens that they just kind of don't even show in this movie. What happens to Delroy Lindo's Erykah Badu, and there's something goes on with their kid Angel, like that happens with that stuff. There's stuff that happens that they don't even touch around the movie. And like I said, in reading the synopsis on IMDb, I'm just like, or synopsis on Wikipedia, I'm like, this would have been better. Like, I would have rather seen this than what was in the movie and stuff like that, you know? Yeah. I mean, maybe that's not fair to the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to concentrate on what's in the movie.
Well, like I said, it just.
Well, to pull from a source material and for non, like, you know, it's different if one thing, if like, for logistical reasons, you couldn't have them like go to Mars or if it was something crazy, but like they could have easily told like especially like the part, like the way that the movie, it's like Paul Rudd comes back and it's just like, all right, bye-bye. When in the movie, in the movie they do that, but in the book it keeps going.
There's like a longer period of time.
And so I mean, everyone's looking at it when Paul Rudd's getting out of the car. We're like, she ain't gonna stay with him. You know it. It's like she's so in over her head. And you just know that it's not going to work out. And so it's just weird that it's like, all right, I'm going back.
Yeah, and
it's just strange.
I think at the end of the day it's not fair to compare the movie to the book, but I was so uninterested with the movie and there's so many questions about the movie being called that I read it, and then I was like, man, there's some really interesting tidbits that would have been interesting to see in the movie.
Right.
But I talked way too much about this, so why don't you go on a little bit about how you feel?
I mean, again, I don't think this is like the most amazing movie ever, but I think you guys are way too harsh on it. To me, it's a movie. I mean, I don't dislike Michael Caine's character. I dislike his terrible accent, but I think maybe he's overbearing with Tobey Maguire because this kid has grown up with him. Like, he had to save this kid. You know, at one point, the kid, you know, Tobey Maguire does get adopted, but the parents are beating him. Yeah. So he goes to the house and rescues him. Yeah. So he feels very, very protective of this kid. Maybe he's overprotective, and maybe it is selfish of him to want him to stay at the orphanage, but because, I mean, he's grown up in this orphanage. All these other kids, we presume, eventually do find homes, even though after he comes back after 2 years, all the kids are still there, and they're all still the same age.
And the teenage girl is ready.
Kieran Culkin,
but I understand from a logistical perspective, they couldn't get kids that just happen to look 2 years older. Maybe in this day and age, they would CGI some 2 years worth of age on them.
They'll give them like a 5 o'clock shadow or something.
Something, yeah. But I feel like that's why he's so protective of Tobey Maguire, and he does want him to be his successor. So I don't feel like he's like an evil character or anything like that for wanting to keep him there.
Yeah, I totally get that.
And then Tobey Maguire finally gets his chance to kind of go out into the world. Mm-hmm. He sees it because of Charlize Theron and Paul Rudd, who again are two young kids who don't really know what they're doing. Tobey Maguire doesn't really know what he's doing. He goes and works at this farm or whatever, this Cider House Orchard. Thank you. I was looking for the right word.
I was too.
You know, and he meets people, and because he's never really interacted with people, he doesn't have any prejudice or anything like that. You know, and Tobey Maguire is. I don't think he's an amazing actor or anything like that. And to me, he's kind of the same in a lot of movies, and he always has kind of a blank stare.
Yeah.
He's always kind of just like. But I feel like in this movie it works because. Maybe I doubt this was a conscious choice. I think this is just because Tobey Maguire is not the most amazing actor. Again, not that he's bad, but I feel like it fits in this movie because he feels like he's not supposed to get overly excited about stuff because of his heart condition, right?
Yeah.
So he's just always kind of neutral and even keel. even in the face of what happens to Erykah Badu, which I don't. I mean, obviously that part is terrible. Delroy Lindo basically impregnates his daughter, and like you said, I mean, I think Delroy Lindo's awesome. It sucks that has to happen to his character, but I mean, it's part of the story. But even in the face of having to help Erykah Badu basically have an abortion, Tobey Maguire is just kind of like, all right, I'll do it. Even though he's opposed to abortion or whatever, he realizes in this case he's going to make an exception or whatever. When he finds out that the doctor dies, he's like, those kids don't have anybody. I'm fully trained. I've had my time in the sun. I've had my 1 year or whatever, or a year and change or whatever. So now I'm going to go back and take over for the doctor. And that's what he does.
The entire thing, it's like his expression, he might have been, he has the same expression with like, all right, well, the doctor died. I got to go back.
He does. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
He's getting flirted with by Charlize Theron.
Yeah, and they have no chemistry.
I don't know. I don't think he had that expression while they were having sex.
The same expression is no.
He was scared.
It's like, and then it's like Paul Rudd isn't weird to have the kids like, I want to come with you. It's like,
yeah, I was gonna ask like, what's that conversation like where he's like he's maybe a doctor, maybe assistant, and he's just like, hey man, can I get a ride with you?
I don't think that's weird.
Yeah, maybe for the time.
I know. I mean, back in the day, people hitchhiked all the time. They're like, I mean, it's a lot more prevalent than it is now. I don't think that was weird at all.
I guess aside from where it was strange was like Charlize Theron, shows up. She has the procedure. I never got like, hey, this is my ticket out. Like, I don't know whether like. I mean, I don't know if the guy had some. I just was like, why now? Why this? Why this?
I think he just decided it on a whim.
Yeah. I wish there was. I'm seeing. I hear what Kirby's saying. I wish there was more of like an inciting incident for him to like leave. Like maybe like. I mean, again, it's hard because it's a novel. Like maybe Wheezy or Grizzly or whatever his name is, Loopy. Fuzzy dies, and then Tobey Maguire decides that it's time to move on or whatever. So here's my thing. Here's my kind of takeaway. I think Delroy Lindo killed Erykah Badu. I think when he said she ran away on the bike or got on the car or whatever, I think he lied. I think he killed her.
I don't get that.
That's my
I
conspiracy
tell you
theory.
what I thought though. I thought the guy who has the very bad attitude knew about them, and that's why he was so cranky.
Yes.
He didn't like working with Delroy.
100%. Yeah, because I thought the reason why he didn't come back was because he impregnated Erykah Badu. But then when you find out it was actually her father, then I was like, yeah, that's 100% reason why they got in the fight.
Yeah,
100% agree.
I think that's true. One of the things that I do wish they would do with the movie is I wish that there was a little bit more lead up to him doing that. Like there's some knowing glances, or there's some like mistrust between him and the. I mean, the guy is angry, but you don't know why until later. And again, we're just kind of speculating. We don't know that for sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that too. I also wish that the parents played a bigger role in the movie. Like J.K. Simmons, who we didn't mention, is Charlize Theron's dad. He does nothing in the movie, which that's fine. He's
like in a scene or two, and that's it.
But I mean, clearly he knows that she's now having a relationship with Tobey Maguire. I wish that there was.
You got that?
I wish that there was what.
That they're in a relationship together? That her dad knew? Because I thought it was all under the radar.
I mean, I feel like you would have to know. They spend so much time together. I mean, I feel like you'd be an idiot. I mean, they're constantly hanging out together. There's got to be something going on, I would think. If I was her dad, I'd be like, y'all are banging, right?
Yeah.
And then also Kate Nelligan, who plays Paul Rudd's mom, doesn't have much to do. I wish that at some point they kind of maybe not had a confrontation, but maybe there's a scene with J.K. Simmons where he asks Charlize Theron what's going on, or maybe Kate Nelligan, whatever, something like that.
So what are you gonna do when Paul Rudd comes home, or even like just talking about it, like?
And like apparently, yeah.
This movie when it turns like like the idea of like, well, one family and he brought the baby back because it didn't cry. And the next family beat him, and you're just like, what? And then it's like when she's pregnant, or when when Erykah Badu is pregnant, it's like she just looks at the dad, and then it just goes off the rails. It's like maybe
John Irving's known for.
It's like
to get into the next movie.
And again, I mean, also too.
But
Like,
to me, that makes it interesting. Like it's not bland.
Rules are about the freaking roof. It's like, how about they not like stab each other and sleep with their daughters? Can we add that to the rules?
Well, okay, but they're not seriously going to add that to the rules.
I don't think they have that.
The rules are all about. They're like OSHA.
They didn't have that much foresight.
I don't think OSHA has a thing on the wall saying "Don't sleep with your daughter." Like so.
Yeah, I think from what I read about the novel, I think this movie needs to get redone.
No.
And I think it would be interesting to spend more time on the farm, the orchard, and less time beforehand. I think you just give it the bare minimum so they know where Homer's coming from. I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to be explored from the book to make it more interesting for me. Like I said, I felt the whole movie just didn't work for me. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't feel chemistry between them. Like Tobey Maguire and Charlize felt like brother and sister to me.
Yes.
And
when they're first like intimate, it's like it goes this completely crazy turn. Like the guy's never seen like the ocean, and then it's like he hugs her from behind, and it's like game on.
That's hormone. That's the hormones of young people. Like that's not to me. That's not out of the blue.
Rubs against her. That it's just like it's really creepy.
Full on like happening, and it's just not realistic for him to have never experienced anything from the outside. You would have seen maybe that like grew over time, like even just a little, like a couple things, like maybe he accidentally saw her like putting her shirt on or something, you know what I mean? Like to kind of build up that tension, but it just went from like, hey, here's my buddy Tobey Maguire to we are in the bushes getting it on.
And I just feel like at the end of the day, I felt like the movie prioritized plot over characterization. So I wish it pulled things from the novel that made us know more about the characters, made us feel about the characters, gave Tobey Maguire more of a character arc, because I think you can rationalize one, but I think emotionally I didn't feel that at all. And that's just my opinion on it. And so that's kind of why I'm not hot on it, you know?
Right. I know you can appreciate the part where they watch King Kong, though.
I did. And hey, if you're going to show one movie, why not be King Kong?
That constantly breaks.
I agree with it.
Yeah. All right. So we mentioned most of the cast and also Erykah Badu. It's introducing Erykah Badu according to the credits. It also has Heavy D.
Does have Heavy
in
D.
it, and he's credited as Heavy D as well. He should be. I like the music score for this movie by Rachel Portman. It's 71% fresh, 77% audience score. Roger Ebert actually felt the same way you did. But he read the book, so I think that played something into it as well. He only gave it 2 stars. Leonard Maltin loved this movie. He gave it 4 stars. I wouldn't rate it that high. I like it. I wouldn't rate it 4 stars though. A rare 4 stars. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards. Michael Caine, with his awful accent, won for Best Supporting Actor. His acting job is good. His accent is bad. I'll just say that.
He only wins because he dies. In the
Best Adapted Screenplay by John Irving. The other 5 awards that it lost, one of the other 5 awards that it lost was the Best Picture. It lost to the massively overrated American Beauty, which I can't stand, quite frankly.
I agree with that statement.
So you like American Beauty more than Cider House Rules?
I really love
American Beauty's a piece of garbage.
All right.
I think it spoke for like a certain time, but no, it's not a good movie.
Okay, so that was Cider House Rules. Obviously, we disagree on Cider House Rules.
Cider House sucks!
No. But it's adapted from a John Irving novel, as we mentioned. The movie we're going to talk about next time is also adapted from a John Irving novel, and it is the first dramatic role for Mr. Robin Williams, a very young Robin Williams, and it is The World According to Garp. That's next time.
All right, guys, stay tuned next time. We answer on those Wednesday episodes viewers' questions, so if you have a question you want to send to us, shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. Follow us on social media, on Instagram @realshame. Like, subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, comment below. If you feel like Cider House rules, tell us below. If you don't feel like it rules, also tell us below. Let us know what's going on. Where are you at with the Cider House
If you feel
rules?
like O'Doyle rules, let us know.
O'Doyle, I have a feeling your whole family's going down. And stay tuned next time as we dive into and learn what the world is according to Garp. We'll see you next time. Bye.